Before I start this video, I would like to give out a shout out to all the people that subscribe to me, all the people that follow me, everyone that really helps me to keep going with this art stuff. I really appreciate you. Special shout out to the people that follow me on Instagram and in the Discord and who talk in there and stuff. You know, I'm not very active in the Discord or on Instagram, but that's going to change, and I do appreciate for you guys sticking by me, even though I'm very inconsistent and everything. But with that being said, this is the video, and I hope you guys enjoy. First of all, I should probably welcome you guys to another art update. I haven't really done one of these in an official capacity up until this point, mainly because I've been sort of really doubting that I've been really making that much progress in the first place. With the initial art updates, it was something I did every week. So I was always, each week, at least showcasing the things I did. But at some point in time, around the first time I stopped, uploading regularly, it became harder to justify uploading an update when I wouldn't be drawing that much, or when I feel like I haven't made as much improvement or really shifted the focus of my art. So I kind of just ditched doing official updates and just kind of talked about how I was feeling. Now, with this being an actual official art update, or not really, but you get what I mean, I'm going to cover the various things I've been doing over the last few weeks, as well as what I'm thinking about doing in the future. I would love for you guys to comment when you guys have any things you'd like to say, and I hope that you guys manage to get something from this video. I really appreciate everyone who participates, and hopefully I'm doing you guys well. So in terms of looking at what I was doing on the 19th, it was a little bit different from what I normally do. I was sort of trying to practice a bit from one of the taco books I had, just trying to do the poses. Now, previously when I was doing the taco books, I tended to just completely copy the exact pose, the exact way it was being done. So I tried my hardest to sort of just get random references to try and copy those. Granted, I'm not the best at doing that, if I'll be honest. But I don't think I did terribly. There's areas I could be improving in, but that's always going to be the case. However, one thing I will say that I'm really happy with this set of practice is that I feel like my lines are getting a little bit better. I feel like, at least in terms of when I'm using my sketchbook, the pencil is going where I want it a lot more frequently than it's going where I don't, which I do think is a general thing I should mention. I do feel like, and that's one thing I think is going on for pretty much the remainder of the art I was doing, that it was practically that it was going where I wanted it to go. At this point in time in practicing, I was really focused on just trying to get good at doing the male torso. Obviously, as you're gonna see in the later bits, I kind of deviated from just focusing on that. I started the week out trying to focus specifically on that, and then ended up just going back to doing normal stuff that I normally do. But granted, I do think I did make a decent amount of progress overall. So as much as I am upset with kind of getting distracted, I will add that it still came with a lot of progress in my eyes. So you got to take what you can. Obviously, it's not perfectly optimal for art growth, but I feel like I just need to get rid of that mindset where everything I do needs to be perfectly optimal, or I need to be doing things the best way, or to get good the fastest, because I feel like getting trapped in a thought process like that, where I'm focusing on being the fastest and getting to my sort of goals the quickest, neglects the fact that I'm supposed to be on a journey and not just on a race. It's not a race. I'm not racing with anybody else to get to where I want to get to. It's just completely dependent on me and myself and my ability to um, get better over time. So there's no point in me forcing myself to get really good at art if there's no need for it. You know, I need to want the growth. And I do feel like now I'm starting to really want it. Anyways, that's just the way I feel about this first section. Now looking at the stuff I did the very next day, I feel like here I was sort of in my um, zone. Like I feel like the various things I did on this day in particular, like I was still only doing the torso. I feel like the stuff I did here was like amazing. I don't know how to express it, but I feel like if I could ever get back into the state I was when I was drawing on this day, I think I'll be able to just be the best of all time. Well, you get what I mean. Anyways, looking at this, I was still doing the torsos, but I started the day out just doing some female bodies because I had a few references that I wanted to try. I don't think I have them stored. At least I don't see them on my computer. One thing I will be doing for the future is saving each reference I do so that, you know, when I do videos, because for the next few videos, I plan on editing them this way. Simply just because there's going to be a longer time span between videos. I'll get more into that at the end. But my intention is to, you know, show you guys what I'm practicing and how things are going. So I'll definitely showcase what references I'm using. I'll definitely save that information and get it to you guys. Overall feelings for this day, like I said, I do feel like my line work is so much better here. I don't think I really did too much focus on reality here. I was just trying to get the feel of it. I do think in terms of my female bodies, when I'm on sketch paper, just the base structure of them, I really like them. I need to work on my male bodies a lot more. That's probably the area of focus that needs to be put on. But one thing I do need to focus on as well, and I'll get more into that, is my lines. And not just my lines, but like being confident in my lines. Like I spend too much time worrying about how they're gonna look, and it's easier to do that on pen and paper because I can draw really light. Like I've gotten to the point where I can draw really light on pen and paper, but I find it hard to do it on the tablet. Not because I can't draw as light, but it's more that I can't draw too small. Like I feel like my drawings get really blurry, but more to that when I get to the digital aspect. Now looking at the next set of art that I did, this day, the 21st and the 25th, is pretty far distance between each other, but essentially I was really going day after day after day, and then the 21st hit and I went to my friend's birthday party. I had fun. I was really surprised she invited me. She invited me like a few weeks ago, so you know I had to show up. I baked her a few cookies. She said they were good. So I'm gonna trust that I can make cookies pretty well. But outside that, I really had fun. I met a few new people, but that's besides the point. On this day, I was really just trying to do clothes, or not really necessarily clothes, but a few outfits that I saw I liked. My intention was to draw more, but I never did. That's why there's that big gap on the right of that outfit on the bottom. One thing I really like about this day is the dress I did. I really feel like that dress is just like beautiful. The shading on it is just amazing. I feel like I could definitely have done it better, but like I feel like it portrays perfectly. Like low-key, it looks fire in my opinion. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, that was pretty much that day. Obviously there was the one on the right. That was a picture of what's her name. Um, I forget who it's a picture of, but it was like a gender swapped version from some Black Lagoon. Is that what it's called? I forget. I need to watch it. But that's what it was. And then looking on the right side, if we're looking at July 25th, this was me just messing around. I had taken a decent break from drawing because I had a few days of back-to-back events. Pretty much didn't have any time to draw. Obviously, I was at the birthday party on the Sunday, but then the Monday I went out shopping, and then Tuesday I was hanging out with some other friends. So it was an interesting lineup for me. And then on Wednesday I didn't get home until like 3, which I had a lot of fun. But as you can see, I was kind of really busy. Didn't really get too much time to draw. Obviously, those aren't excuses. I really do feel like I could have put the time aside. It's not like I go to sleep at like a normal time. I pretty much had a lot of time to get things done, and I just didn't, unfortunately. But that's for then. This is for now. Obviously in the future, my goals will be to be a lot more consistent with my art. But that's besides the point. Looking at what I did on this day, I really do like the two sketches on the top. The one on the bottom, I really hate that right arm. The bicep is just so like the what do you call it? I know this is the forearm, but the shoulder bit of the arm, that's just so long. I feel like if I shortened it, it would have been perfect. But looking at the other two, I feel like I did a really good job shading wise on both of them. Not necessarily on the one on the left, more so on the one on the right. But I feel like I didn't really hate it. It's alright. Like, looking back at it, it probably isn't the best thing I've done, but it definitely isn't something I'm not proud of. And I feel like that's something that, I need to be more honest with myself about, like being proud in the various things I do. It's not like you're gonna be the best all the time, but I do feel like there's times where I'm just doing really well, so props to me. And it was really interesting because in my opinion, looking at these two pages back to back, it was hard to look at the page the 25th and then go, wow, how did I do the stuff on the 21st and then do the stuff on the 25th? Like, I feel like it's a drop in quality by a decent margin. But, granted, I feel like it's not worth it to compare those two. Because at the end of the day, I feel like overall I'm getting better. So it shouldn't matter, the marginal differences between days. Like, I remember when I was looking about like how you lose weight and stuff, you don't look at your weight on a day-to-day basis. You average your weight between the week to get your actual weight for that week, right? So I shouldn't be looking at what I did on one day versus the other day, because at the end of the day, it's the sum of my efforts that makes my skill. So I shouldn't be too worried about that. Anyways, now concerning the art I was doing today, because this is what we're looking at now. I know, like, it's gonna cover the various things that I feel like I'm not doing the best, but it's like overall I feel like I'm getting better, but I don't know if I'm happy with like various aspects of my art. So looking at what I was doing today, it was really just trying to copy a pose I saw. it was really interesting because like when I actually went out to drawing the pose itself, I was like very off from what I was seeing. Like it got to the point where I just had to like just start making it on my own for this specific one, and I'm like I just had to start just making stuff up. Like it pretty much just wasn't at all like the reference I was using. So I kind of had to, angle things myself. Granted, with the goals I was trying to do for this week, I don't know why I gravitated to drawing women this week. Obviously, it's not somewhere I need to improve right now, but I do think it helps illustrate the various things I have problems with my art. So my first biggest concern is I feel like my line confidence is somewhat there with my sketches. When I'm using pen and paper, I feel like it's a lot easier for me to visualize the lines, get them down. Some of my best drawings are all pen and paper. Like I think all of my best drawings are pen and paper, but none of them are on my tablet. And I say this not because my tablet skill hasn't improved. And I do think that my tablet skill has also contributed to my pen and paper skill. It's helped me be a lot better with my line confidence, as well as with, making sure that my lines are like have line weights, like pretty good line weights. Granted, my line weights on tablet are still horrendous, and it has been like glitching out a bit recently, where like the line weight just completely resets. So I gotta figure out why it's doing that. But my main concern with the line weights, and not just the line weights, but my lines, is that it feels like no matter what I'm doing, they just don't look right. I don't know how to express it, but it feels like every pen I use doesn't feel right. I don't know if this is just a personal thing I'm gonna have to get over with. The only pens I ever felt comfortable using were really big airbrushes that were practically massive and made my art look weird. So if you look at my current profile picture, which is gonna change, I feel like you can see what I mean. All of my art is just, or at least the art that I used to do on the channel back when I was initially starting up, the lines are just not the best. Like, I just don't see the lines being good on digital. It really pisses me off because I feel like I can get those really nice fine lines when I'm doing paper art, but once it gets to the digital front, it just loses the fineness of it. I feel like the lines are either too thin or too thick, or they don't have the nice consistency I want. It's just like I can never get what I want with my lines. There's always something that I hate about it that makes me stop wanting to do it. It makes me want to just like quit whenever I get a decent amount into an art project. So I don't know what the solution to that would be, but looking at this piece that I did, it wasn't really too much. It was more of a practice, just trying to do the body without the head. One thing I need to work on is my head, but I'll work on that in conjunction in the future. But yeah, I think overall it turned out really nice. I do think it turned out really nice. I did try to put a head on it, but just gave up. Even the colors, I do think the colors turned out really nice. Now, do I think I should have probably did this? Probably not. Like, it didn't feel like the best. The shading, I think I'm good at. I think I've sort of got an idea of shading. Definitely could work on it, but that's not my main priority right now. Now, moving on to the next piece that I did. This is easily, like, now looking back on it and looking at how it looks, this is easily my favorite thing I did today. Like, when I was drawing it, I was so, like, I thought it looked terrible. I thought it looked horrendous. Now looking back on it, this is easily the best thing I did today. Granted, I do think it could have been better. I didn't really flesh it out completely, but I am glad that I did go in this direction with my art, for today at least. So this is a pose. I can give you guys the exact pose I was copying with the artist tag. I'll put it up right now. I really like this pose. Like, it really resonated with me. I think I saw it a couple weeks ago, and I just really wanted to draw it, but I never had the chance to. So this is when I actually got the chance to practice it. One thing I will notice is that the same thing happens here. Like, if you look at my lines, they're insanely thick. I don't know why I do that. I can never get nice lines that aren't thick. They just, like, I feel like I overcompensate my lines being thick. I don't even think it's a brush thing. I think it's just a me thing. I think I'm just not confident with my lines when it comes to doing stuff on my textbook. I feel like the fact that my pen is like, 0.5 in real life allows me to get really specific with how I draw in real life. But once I get into the Clip Studio, I feel like the thing is, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but because there is no uniform page size in Clip Studio, I tend to zoom in, I tend to rotate, I tend to move around, and I lose track of what it's supposed to look like. I have no clue what my art's supposed to look like, at what size it's supposed to be done at. So like, I end up with these massively thick lines, and I'm super zoomed in, and like, it really leads to these, murky results, where even though I'm really proud in this art piece, or at least this practice, I wouldn't say piece, but this practice, this sketch, it still makes me upset because it feels like it's subpar quality. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like I could have done better in terms of getting it done. As you can see, this did take me quite a bit of time to do, and I did tab out a few times to go skip some YouTube videos because I was just doing this with YouTube in the background. But I do think that it's reminiscent of how good I'm at this point. Like, I think I'm like, this is proof that I'm not terrible. I know what I'm doing, but I feel like and I'll cover this in the future when I have time to. I feel like I'm just losing out in certain places, and I don't know what it is. Obviously, I need to, my practice needs to, ramp up in certain areas, but I just feel like I'm being held back by imaginary barriers in my mind, and it's sort of really getting to me right now. So that's just how I sort of feel about this. Granted, these lines, don't think they look terrible, but the point I'm making still stands. I feel like there's too fuzzy. Maybe I'm drawing too small. Maybe I need to use a bigger canvas. Like, my canvas is like 1,000 by, it's like 1,200 by 1,600 pixels. It's not even a full HD screen. So maybe my canvas is too small. Maybe that's why this is a problem. Maybe I need to get my canvas size bigger. Maybe that's the solution to this manufactured problem I have. I don't know. I do know that at some point in time I will have to get over this issue. It's not a real one, but for now it's a very real problem I'm dealing with. Now, for the final piece of art that I did, this one is this specific reference over here. One thing I will say about this reference, I like the line work on this reference a lot, right? It's not too in your face. I really like how, I just really like the art. But what it's getting to me is not how much I like the art, but how much I feel like I'm not able to get there. Like, I can't really envision myself getting to that step, or at least with my current setup right now, I just don't see myself getting there anytime soon. And that's what's really getting to me. I feel like it's just a mental thing I have to get over, and it's a mental thing I must get over to continue. But it does sort of annoy me a little bit. Being super concerned with, you know, how I'm gonna get to a specific quality. Granted, in the process of drawing it in this in the tablet, I do think I did a pretty good job. Don't think it was terrible. Could have been better. Kind of hid the arms, but I hid the arms because in the art, it's kind of hard to do the arms with this specific art. Yeah, over here you can see like where my pen kind of malfunctions a bit. It's kind of really annoying to deal with, but I just trust you. If someone knows why my pen does this sometimes, please let me know. I don't know what the issue is. It does piss me off. Anyways, moving on from that, I do think like this one is easily the second best thing I did this week. Actually, no, third, because that dress is still the best thing I did this week. But I do really like this. With these two art pieces I did, these two practice sketches, I really focused on just taking in the pose of the character I was about to draw before sort of committing to drawing them. Because like before I would just commit to drawing them, I would be in like my gesture drawing like practice where I just start drawing and not really care too much about taking in, observing. But I watched the Mark Bernavert video. He's talking about you should, at least when you're starting out, try to take in what you're looking at before you draw it. And I feel like that's the reason why the previous thing I did looked so good. It's because it was a reference I had been looking at for like a week at this point. So because I had already been looking at it for like a week, I already knew, like I already had a relatively good idea of what the reference looked like in my mind. It wasn't fresh. With this one, it was a lot more fresh. So even though I do think I didn't do a bad job with the reference I was using, because I had to do the reference justice to some extent, I do think I did better with the other one just because I already knew the reference a lot better. Just simply for the fact that I had been having it. You know what I'm saying. I'm at a loss for words right now. But overall, I do think I'm getting there. It'll take me some time before I get really comfortable with my art in the future. I do think I'm getting there. It's taking me some time to really get to a point where I'm just insanely like proud of my art. I do have a few pieces that I'm really happy with, and like I've shown some things to my friends, or not really shown it to them, but I've played like Roblox games where you can draw, and like they've been like, oh yeah, that's really good, and it does make me feel good to an extent, but it doesn't like satisfy me, if you know what I mean. I still feel empty in that sort of part of me. It feels like there's still more work to be done with my art progression, and part of that is natural. You're always gonna want to get better, but I also think that part of that is unhealthy for me, because to an extent it stops me from practicing, right? It's not like I practice really like assiduously, or like really, I don't know if I'm using that word correctly, but it's not like I practice really hard, and I'm really strict with my practice, and I'm forcing myself to do it all the time. It's like something I do every now and then, and like I'm on that, sorry, and I'm on that time of period where I'm doing it really hard, and I'm practicing really hard right now. Well, barely, if you really look at it, but it doesn't feel like it's um gonna stick, and I think that's my main problem. I don't think this attitude that I have right now is going to stick, and that's my concern. I want it to stick. It needs to stick for me to really feel confident. But I am worried that it won't. And I just think that's just something I'm gonna have to get over with, you know? I can't sit here being afraid. I can only do. So, essentially, that's where I'm thinking. Overall, I feel like this sheet, this CSP file, really sums my week up really well. The shading was really good, or at least way better than what I used to do, in my opinion. I think I'm getting better at it, and overall, I do think that the two sketches I did were really nice. Granted, the first one was sort of just random from the mind, so it may not be as good just because of that. And I do think that if we look at it overall, I am getting better in terms of the, you know, the, what am I talking about right now? And in terms of like overall, I do think I am getting better on my drawing tablet. Like, I can see it myself. I'm getting there. It's not like it's not happening. But I just do feel like I need some sort of guidance on how to use a drawing tablet. Like, there's a bunch of videos, and I know what I'm doing to an extent, but I don't know like how things are going to look. Maybe that's just me wanting structure for something that doesn't have structure. But I do think it would be nice to sort of have a concrete idea of how things are supposed to go. I think if I had that, it would be a lot less confusing for myself. But maybe that's just me being a weirdo. Anyways, that is pretty much the art side of this video done. But there's a few more things I want to talk about just for those who stayed this far. I know this is like 36 minutes into me recording. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little tidbit that I have to add to the video. Anyways, for those who got this far in, I really appreciate you for watching this far. This is probably going to be the longest video on my channel if I haven't recorded a video this long in the past. I don't also know what footage I'm going to put up in this section. It might be Marvel Rivals, it might be not for broadcast. But I feel like it's important for me to have this section of the video just because I do want to talk to you guys a bit. So, this is going to be weird for me to admit this, but I didn't know that, how am I going to word this in a way that doesn't sound weird? I didn't know that it wasn't normal for people to not be curious about, like, what it felt like to be a girl. Like, I low-key thought that was a normal feeling. Like, I remember when I was talking to my friend about this, right, because we were at the mall, and I brought it up to him, and like, he was just so confused. Like, he looked at me, and he was like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, he was dead serious, looking at me going, like, are you insane? Right? And like, it was so funny to me in the time, because it was like a moment where I was like, bro, what? It, like, part of me realizes, you know, you think your own personal experiences are the experiences that everyone goes through. And this is one of the things that stops you from going to the doctor a lot, because they think everybody else is also going through the same thing that they're going through. But, you know, I thought that was just something normal, you know? Everyone's just a little bit curious. I just thought that was just people being a little bit curious. Like I thought I was just a little bit curious. I didn't know that was like never a thought that ever crossed a single person's mind until like when he said this to me. And like keep in mind, like this is like some random one-off conversation I had with him, right? So fast forward a few weeks, right? And this ties into the video I had a few weeks ago about how, you know, art sort of changed my life, right? I came across a YouTube video from, I forget what character who made the video, and it was talking about like sort of science, if you know what I'm alluding to, right? And it was like, you know, I was like so, like it was the first time I ever felt sort of like someone else understood the way I felt. Granted, it's kind of awkward being in the situation I'm in right now, because now that I have this information, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, right? Like I could use this information in a way that would probably make me feel better, but I don't know what it's gonna do for me, especially with like my situation. And on top of that, like it's not like I would feel comfortable with the way things are currently to be like honest with myself yet, you know. I feel like it will take a bit of time before I really get comfortable with this reality, or I don't want to say reality, but this like stuff, like this information I have now. Because at the end of the day, like it's not like this is gonna just go away, you know. Like now that I know this information, I'm never gonna forget it. It's not like I'm just gonna go, oh my goodness, you know. I'm never like like things will never be the same, like Tupac said, bro. So, like now I have this information, don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I did need to tell somebody. So I telling you guys. Anyways, we're getting really close. I kind of feel like it is what it is. Like at the end of the day, at least now I know, right? At least now I know that I'm a little bit more ambiguous than I was in the past. But like I said, I wouldn't have known this information if it wasn't for the art channel. Like the art channel is the only reason that conversation happened. And it's also the only reason where I'm able to now know that, you know, that's a genuine thing other people feel like. Because I used to think that I was just a crazy person, right? After having that conversation with my friend, I used to think I was just crazy. I used to think it was just something whack that nobody else ever did, and I was just weird. But, you know, now I know, you know, some people genuinely feel like that. So I don't feel as invalidated as I used to feel, and I feel like that's something that this channel really helps me do. It's really helped me be more confident in myself and be more confident in expressing things about myself that I wouldn't have been able to express in the past. So when I do say that, you know, this channel saved my life, it wasn't just oh my goodness, now I have X amount of people subscribe to me. It was more of a thing where I was like, I now am being exposed to so many different opinions that I'm not as, you know, closed anymore. I've sort of opened up to who I am, and I really do appreciate the channel for I really appreciate what this channel has done to me. Like, I think overall, it's a net positive on my life. And that's the main reason why I need to get back on here. I need to get back being consistent. I don't know how the next video will turn out. I'm going to try and get it shorter than this, Granted, it's not the longest video. I just checked. The longest video I have is an hour and 30, and it was like when I came back from being like gone for like a month, or not really a month. I was gone for like a couple days, but it was after like I'd vanished. But overall, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, that sort of concludes the video. I understand this is kind of a weird thing to end the video on, and I am pretty confident that like 99% of people won't even watch this part of the video, so they won't even know what I just said. But if you guys got this far, you know, I want to see your comments in the comment section. With the content, I do want to do stuff like this. Like, I feel like this is sort of the vibe I'm trying to give off with my videos. Obviously, I love standing up and recording, but I feel like the essence of what I loved about just doing those raw recordings was the fact that I could just talk like this, you know, talk about how I felt, talk about how things made me feel. And I feel like that is something that really gets captured when I'm recording like this, right? Granted, I do think things get lost in translation all the time, but hopefully things relatively stay normal here. Anyways, really appreciate what you guys do for me, and leave comments, like, subscribe if you want to, and you know, that's it. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys later, and yeah, peace. Make sure you get your sleep, guys. Don't be like me. It's like 6:27 a.m. I'm not gonna go to sleep for another 3 hours because I'm going to finish this video up. So make sure you guys get your sleep. You don't want to be like me, be some dude who just sits on his and sleeps in his bed and is just depressed. You know, that's not a good way to live your life. Make sure you guys get outside. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys later.